Now, the 2016 Access to Medicine Index has just been released. The Access to Medicine Index analyzes the top 20 research-based pharmaceutical companies with products for high-burden diseases in low and middle-income countries. GSK leads for the 5th time ahead of Johnson & Johnson, Novartis and Merck KGaA. Statistics say 2 billion people in the world have no access to medicine. The index is published every 2 years by the Access to Medicine Foundation, an independent non-profit organization funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the UK Department for International Development. Joining us via remote from our London studio is Dr. Jayasree Iyer, Executive Director of the Access to Medicine Foundation. Dr. Iyer, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
First off, tell us about the significance of the Access to Medicine Index and the type of impact that it's making in really addressing the issue.
So the Access to Medicine Index is a tool that we use to encourage the pharmaceutical industry to do more for people living in low middle income countries in improving access to medicines that are produced by the pharmaceutical industry. And we cover a range of 20 of the largest pharmaceutical companies and their activities in 107 countries over 51 diseases. The kind of influence that we have is in stimulating the companies to do more in these markets, to push themselves further, challenge themselves, and work with local stakeholders in improving some of the health outcomes through improving access to the products that they have control over.
This is a very critical issue when we know that there are some areas in the world where people don't have the basic medicine that they need. Now, tell us, what are some big trends that we are seeing in this new index?
So among the many trends that we see, one critical one is we're seeing more companies setting up proper business models for Africa. So many years ago, there was only a couple of companies that were active from the big pharmaceutical companies in Africa, which meant that key products were not reaching the people in various countries in Africa itself. Sanofi was one of the forefront companies that were very active in some of the Francophone countries in Africa. Today, in 2014, we then saw about 9 companies setting up business models. And today we have about 14 companies who dedicate business models specifically to Africa. And some of that range from looking at specific products in specific countries, like AbbVie and Bristol Myers Squibb focus on HIV/AIDS, and some of them are much more ambitious and broader, and that's like GlaxoSmithKline has a 2020 strategy for Africa, and Johnson & Johnson also has a dedicated African business unit.
When we look at diseases like neglected tropical diseases, to what extent is this a priority, or maybe one of the on their agenda, when we understand that these diseases really don't concern a big part of the world?
Yeah. So more and more, as more governments and people start prioritizing the importance of neglected tropical diseases, we found that the pharmaceutical industry actually respond to contributing to the area of neglected tropical diseases. In 2 main areas we're seeing this. One is in product donations, which are very important in eradicating and eliminating these diseases from entire population burdens. The second area is in research and development, in really developing new products that can be more effective in treating some of these diseases itself. And there we've seen the role of partnerships really playing an important role. We see now several companies getting involved, and really important products are being developed, such as things for soil-transmitted helminths, schistosomiasis, for Chagas disease, for leishmaniasis, and so on.
Okay, and quickly before we wrap up, what is the takeaway then from this year's index?
So the main takeaway from this is that while pharma companies are doing a lot more, especially in a continent like Africa, and most of the activities are focused on capacity building and setting up new systems to make sure that more people have access to medicine and come forward and are more aware of medicines, and really affecting some parts of the supply chain. But there's still so much more to be done. Most of the activities are concentrated on specific diseases, specific countries, and specific groups of people, and what we're trying to to do here now is to encourage the pharmaceutical industry to do more for the people, and we're hoping that in the countries will start prioritizing healthcare, prioritizing the financing of healthcare, and really insist that the pharmaceutical industries, as they're working in these companies, in these countries, actually bring forward affordable quality solutions.
Okay, great. Dr. Iyer, thank you so much for joining us. And that was Dr. Jayasree Iyer. She's Executive Director of the Access to Medicine Foundation.